not looking at the VODs and maybe trying to figure out if there's anything to do. In the meantime, we will be heading into Hollywood for our first map of this semifinal.
All right, let's get these semifinals on the road. We are basically in the money here. Only one of the top 4 teams will go home empty-handed. So I guess they do still need to win some games here. We've got Poco and Noki, Narwak, Benbest, Leaf, and HYP joining us again here from GamersOrigin, the fully French squad. And over on the other side, it's ex-ROX with Nalar, Ang, Tijao, Freed, Deeker, and Claus. So yesterday, we cast both of these teams, actually several series. Narwak was a pretty flexible DPS player, showing some good soldier. I don't really recall. I think Benbest actually did really well as Reinhardt. Also had some good Winston play in there. Nalar is actually a really beastly tracer. So if he's not playing soldier, do expect to see him bouncing around on tracer, all value Taja-like. Tijao was playing a lot of Zarya yesterday, so I'm not really sure if I expect him to actually leave the base here as Hanzo or not.
I do think it's a little possible. Hanzo is more viable on this first point push. That wouldn't be surprised if he showed up. But yeah, you're right. Exactly right. He does switch to the Zarya just in time for this one. And I make sure that I'm turning my health bars on, which is, feels good, man. Health bar are visible, so you can tell where everyone's full health or not instead of having to rely on people taking damage for this. But yeah, we'll totally have to delete the stream name, team names next time, guys. Sorry about the confusion for this one. But in the meantime, we will be jumping on with Narwak himself on GamersOrigin, playing the soldier position. He is going to play upper cafe to make sure he gets a little more safety when it comes down to it. We do not see any really big cheesy stuff in the lineup. Leaf running the Reaper is going to be a little interesting, but I guess he does understand it's going to be a very close confrontational battle. So we're going to jump on with him for now as he's waiting for everyone to push through, and no one's noticing him, so he's going to pick a lot of damage. It looks like Free goes down almost immediately because no one checked their corners, and Tizao not able to do a lot more damage, and this is where the fight starts getting really bad. Everyone's kind of caged into here because of Leaf's aggression, as the Reaper will eventually be taken down, which I think he's fine on his part. Was able to get a good trade, and now his team's able to clean up relatively well. Actually, this is actually going really badly on the side of GamersOrigin. They're getting picked off really quickly. ex-ROX actually is able to use this to their advantage. So what looked like to be a very aggressive move actually turned on them completely. This time ex-ROX has been able to capture this point pretty easily.
Tijao got up to 80 plus energy very quickly there and actually just mowed through them lawnmower style there in the very back corner. There's not a lot of room to run around. Tijao was very happy to have them in that confined space. They got 3 kills basically instantly. No one even caught the long spawn here for GamersOrigin, but they just did not have enough time to really try to regroup in a battle for A. So the result is 5 minutes and 20 seconds here for the ex-ROX guys to try and push through the streets phase. You got Benbest leading the charge here as Reinhardt. Claus catches the nano boost right away, so Benbest doesn't last very long at all against the onslaught there. Leaf actually manages to find a dash kill onto that troublesome Zarya, but they lose their own Zarya in the process, and ex-ROX not showing any signs of slowing down.
Yeah, and they do have a lot of ultimates built up for this next stage, and this is kind of a big thing, is the fact that because they pushed up so quickly, the side of GamersOrigin doesn't really have time to take the high ground, so they will be fighting on the same level, and Claus has his Earth Shatter along with Benbest, so this is going to be a battle of Reinhardt shields. As you can see, he's letting his shields generate again. He wants to have full shields for this next confrontation, but meanwhile, the nano boost on Hype will be the big determiner of what's going on here. The Gravity Surge does get used, but Hype gets taken out right in the back, and Benbest is holding up his shield, trying to mitigate as much damage, but his team is just falling down all around him. Claus doesn't even need to use the Earth Shatter to take down the entire team. That Graviton Surge did more than enough, and Tijao, we saw this yesterday. He's been hitting everything.
Yeah, this is working out really well for ex-ROX. Nalar had a good soldier ult in the mix, and that last one he's already running into the enemy spawn to try and prevent them from getting back to the cart. You see the sound barrier go out now for the attacking team. That's more than enough to secure the point. 5.5 minutes now. So they actually did the second stretch even faster than the first, and they've got plenty of time to try and finish this up. They've really shown no signs of slowing down. Like, every ult has been pretty much on the point. 5 members on fire right now. Defense do have 4 ults saved up, including the Nano Visor or Nano Blade, so they can pick their poison, but it just seems that ex-ROX, they're playing very cohesively and not making many mistakes.
Yeah, the one mistake they did do was they only left one person on the payload, so we'll be advancing relatively slow. They have not been able to push it up as far as they would like, but Ben Best is playing super aggressive now. Does get the Zarya shield in the background, but Leaf seems to have taken out a lot of people, even without the Dragon Blade himself. Will be looking to pick up one more target, and it looks like the side of ex-ROX will be stopped, will be going down, so their momentum has been relatively, slowed for GamersOrigin. They did not burn as many ults as they would need to. I do think Norwalk did pop the tactical visor to get those finishes off. However, they still do have, I think they did burn actually most of the ultimates, and Anna may have also dropped hers as well. Belief still has the Dragon Blade, so that should be more than enough for them. Poco will be hitting the Graviton Surge relatively soon, so they do have an opportunity to keep everyone together. However, there should be a lot of ultimates on the side of ex-ROX, and they should be able to use it. We're looking at Freed right now, who has the whole hog. He's looking for the upper ground soldier play, and the ground search does get used, cages everyone in, and Leaf with the Dragon Blade doesn't even need it, dashes through everyone, cleans up the fight yet again, and now looking to track down the Zenyatta player. He takes him down. Is not long for this world anymore, and Poco is going to chase people down. Dicker gets killed right before he gets into the spawn. That's terrible. That would be something that will delay their spawn, stagger their spawns just a little more, so that slows down momentum. And luckily, they did have 5 minutes on the clock, so even though they are getting slightly delayed, they still have 3 minutes 40 seconds to push this car. Still enough time to clear this last phase.
And it's worth pointing out how much slower they are returning to the cart than that ex-Reunited squad that we just watched, just because they have no Lucio. Here comes a nano boost onto Soldier. Nalar is immediately going to rip into Poco. Poco goes down very quickly there. Ben Best finally actually counters with a nice kill onto Claws. Decent sound barrier gets popped. There's a Dragon Blade out in the far back trying to find Deeker, and he goes down, so that is defense most likely being able to clean up here. Ben Best gets a nice pin onto the Roadhog. He caught a Biotic Grenade, so he's going to go down as well, and Nalar gets finished off. That's ex-ROX losing more time now, down to under 3 minutes for their next couple of pushes. They do have a Graviton Surge and Earth Shatter, and those two together can be enough to be very devastating. Just not having the Lucio is making them a little bit slower, but it is the reason that they were able to push through in one solid shot.
Yeah, I agree.
How they do it.
I agree, definitely. Ben Best, good job making the punish in case of the Earth Shatter. And now another great charge for Claws, and they're just making sure Claws can't get anything off, but Claws still has the Earth Shatter, and that Transcendence makes him so he does not take as much damage, able to sustain through so much of the fight, and this battle is just going so one-sided. ROX has been able to use the fact that they brought both the Reinhardt and Leaf off of the front line just to contest this one single tank, and now they're pushing all the way to the end, and needs to get on the point immediately. That Earth Shatter is countered, but Ben Best does go down almost immediately, able to take down the Lucio as well, I think. No, Lucio has been taking a little bit more damage, but that's fine. Poco able to get a lot more healing down, but Norwalk will be dropping, and it looks like for the majority of GamersOrigin, they're just not able to fight this battle as much. They do have that great grab and that surge, keeping everyone locked together, and they are able to unlock it. An goes down, Nolar goes down, and T-Zao goes down. GamersOrigin able to stop the push 0.29 meters from the end, and that's so clutch on his side.
That was actually ridiculous. Nice work there from actually the Lucio, Noki, jumping onto the cart when I thought it was actually completely already parked. Lucio just kind of dropped in from the back line there and bought enough time for Narwhal to finish off his Soldier ult and get some kills. Poco with the Graviton Surge basically just saved the game though. 2 minutes is a drastic difference from whatever they're able to get now. Under a minute and a half is really kind of no big deal. You're still in that range where it's going to be very difficult for them to even generate ultimates in extra rounds at that amount of time. Ben Best getting 2 kills there with a single fire strike definitely helps things out. Defense now are in one and done territory. They should actually just back off here. The offense do have to come all the way into them to where the cart is. There's a couple of ults available for the defense, so they just need to not get too cocky here. Finally, they do reset back onto their side of the cart, and it's up to ex-ROX entirely now to try and break through here with basically just the Soldier ult.
Yeah, but we have seen how strong Soldier ult has been, and that Nano Boost will be up right now, so they do have the opportunity to do this. This is all about timing right now. Ben Best cannot drop his shield and get punished by this big, as this is going to be a big news for them. And the Nano Boost does come in from the background, so they are going to get a tactical visor. He does take down the Ana in the background, and now will be raining death from above. Noki dropping super low, and this fight is just going super even right now. Poco gets that Graviton Surge, keeping everyone alive, but ex-ROX, not a lot of members are left. The whole hog will be pushing them a little back, but Nalar is going to drop instead, and now it does not look like they've been able to use their ultimates to their advantage. They dropped actually everything, so now they're just gonna have to brute force it through. But Ben Best still has his ultimate, still has an Earth Shadow that he's just waiting on. He just needs to make sure that he does not ultimate into, you know, into the shield. Realistically, it shouldn't really matter because he has so much backup from his team, but he will be using it. He is going to push aggressively with that Zarya shield. He knows he's not going to take as much damage. Close it is dropping down. He does do a short turn to make sure the Trevor's there. He's Earth Shatters right into the shield, so that Earth Shatter is overdone. We talked about how important it is that he doesn't do that. And Gamers Origin now in the background trying to clean up as much as they can. Leaf is zipping through people. Freed will not be here for very long, and now they're looking for the Ana to clear up the rest of this fight. Overtime is being ticked on for just a little bit more, but it will be ticking down. It does not look like the side of ex-ROX will be able to complete the push. 5 minutes on this last studio phase was not enough. What a great defense on the side of Gamers Origin.
Yeah, I think that one hold with the sound barrier into Soldier into Graviton Surge, the very last possible moment, Poco got that Graviton Surge on the 2 remaining members of ex-ROX, and it completely flipped the game. They had 2 minutes left after that point and still could not capitalize. So very well done to everyone on the side of Gamers Origin. And that very last fight, I noticed D.Va actually going up into the high ground, trying to 1v2 against Soldier and Ana, trying to disrupt Ana, but Narwhal did a good job actually breaking that D.Va suit all on his own as Soldier, while Ana continued to heal. So everything worked out very well in that last push. The Earth Shatter, again, didn't, I guess, get the value that they were hoping for, and it's going to work out in the best here for Gamers Origin. Now that they're going to be on the attack, we'll see if they switch up anything drastically. I liked the Reaper on defense at the beginning from Leaf. Clearly don't expect him to be going on offensive Reaper here just yet. It's always nice to get a look at what your opponents are doing and seeing if there's a Symmetra, for example. Right now they are running with no Symmetra, so I do applaud both of these teams for trying to avoid that trap. I think the risk has not been worth the reward, at least in this level of play this weekend. So avoiding the Symmetra trap, just sticking with that same 3-tank plus Soldier composition that we saw out of them yesterday. And Nalar on Soldier should be doing a great job, probably going to be staying close to Deeker in the Cafe, for example. I think they had a pretty good point 8 defense yesterday in their matches on Hollywood, so Gamers Origin just have their work cut out for them. All they have to do is finish the map, though, if they want to take a lead in this semifinal.
Yeah, and this is going to be very important. Ben Best, you know, I'm probably messing around with me. I want to see that Widow, but he will be going back to the Reinhardt. So this is going to be a relatively stable composition for their side. No real big changes. Leaf still on that Reaper though, and will be coming out of a spawn with it. So maybe he's valuing that close quarter combat. If he knows that they're playing with a lot of tanks, it's a good way to shred. They just have to be careful not to overextend themselves. They need to make sure that they play this as safe as possible. Meanwhile, on the defensive side of ex-ROX, grouping together relatively well, and they do see it. He does miss the hook on there, so he is able to punish it. The Roadhog will be pushed out of the fight temporarily, but it looks like he gets taken down relatively early on in the fight. Norwalk on the side will also get pulled in as well, so this fight is just getting very chaotic. Close from the side of ex-ROX, trying to charge in to punish the book, but unable to do it. But Poco will be taken out, and now it looks like the side of Gamers Origin backing out, trying to make sure they don't get staggered anymore. They need to fight this at 6, and they do have quite a few ultimates going to be charged up. They do have, more importantly, they do have the nano boost that is available. Leaf did make it out alive, able to wraith form out of that hook range, and it's just very interesting how drastic these fights are going to be. Close already up to 90% for his ultimate for Earthshatter.
Yeah, first push going very well for Gamers Origin. Now we're already into the second push. We got Nano Boost basically available for HYP. We'll see who he wants to choose for that honor. Leaf still on the Reaper, I think. Again, kind of weird, but the Nano Boost does land on Leaf. He's just running right at Claus, who's just doing the Reinhardt shield dance with him. Aang is actually very low. Finally, they do get the kill there. Tizhao is off on his own now in the back of the point. You've got the Visor active here from Nalar. He catches a Zarya bubble to try and stay alive, but Leaf just finds a nice shotgun blast onto him. They trade with the Zarya at the very end, and it's Gamers Origin left standing on the point, just Soldier and Zarya, but that's all you need. When the dust settles, they will be able to cap the point and will have a pretty good amount of time. 4:47 is only about 20-25 seconds slower than their opponents were able to take A, so if they can have as good as a Streets phase as their opponents, they're looking pretty good to finish the map.
Yeah, the only difference here is that the side of ex-ROX will be taking the high ground, so they do have that slight advantage where you kind of have to play according to their game and their timing. Norwalk has just hit that tactical visor point, so you will have it. And they do have a lot of clear ultimates. Leaf has ultimate as well, and that grab and surge does get used. Norwalk is going to be on the outskirts of that, so he's not going to be widely affected, and HYP able to keep his people alive freed. Will be going down, does get slept, and Ben Best still not dead yet. Trying to hit him from behind, trying to clear him out, but it looks like the side of GamersOrigin able to keep most of their players alive. Close will take up Ben Best with a fire strike, but I'm pretty sure they're more than happy with the result they're going. They will be going back. They will be regrouping as they are, knowing that the side of ex-ROX is actually relatively divided, and we see HYP trying to hit Deeker on top of the building just to make sure they can get him down. But Ben Best, with his ultimate currently available, trying to advance the car as much as possible. This is going to be another shield fight for most of them. Both sides do have their ultimates. It's all going to be about which lands the optimal Earth Shatter. Whole Hog does get used, but he does bait it out. I think he baits out the Earth Shatter at all, but the Earth Shatter on his side doesn't go either. He actually misses it completely because he got pushed back, and Close is able to take advantage of the fact by pushing forward. Unfortunately, will be punished by it, and yes, that nano visor not going to be hard to escape from because it's just easy to click mouse 1 and kill everyone in sight. Nalar able to clear out the fight and reset the progress from the side of GamersOrigin.
Leaf actually swapped off of Reaper onto Genji at the beginning of that fight and is already at 88% toward a Dragon Blade. He was the only surviving member of GamersOrigin by the end of that huge battle, and we are ready to clash heads again. We've got Nano Visor combo potential here for the side of GamersOrigin. They've also got the Nano Blade potential, depending on how the timing works out here. Ben Best leading the charge here as Reinhardt just swinging away here at the enemy claws. Zarya just being here makes such a big difference. Tijao, just an incredible Zarya player up to this point, almost at a Graviton Surge for himself. No ults flying at the moment. Nalar actually secures 2 kills before this fight even really starts to happen. So GamersOrigin is going to get forced back. They are actually still losing players. So kind of interesting that no one was able to pull the trigger on using the ultimates, and Nalar still managed to find a couple of kills to hang on the defense.
Yeah, and this is going to be very interesting on the side of GamersOrigin. A lot of ultimates available and not as many available on the opposing side of ex-ROX. The grab surge will be used, caging everyone in, but yes, the sound barrier will be able to negate a lot of damage, but not before a lot of people actually end up dying in this. HYP goes down, so now without a support and of course without another tank, they will have to revert back on this. 2 minutes remaining on the clock, and they should not have been that out. Ben Best unfortunately gets caught out, not able to run back in time, and ex-ROX being able to take advantage of the situation with their pushes. They actually have bought themselves enough time. We talked about how they only had 1 ult before. They bought themselves enough time with that last fight to make it back up to 4. So it looks like the side of GamersOrigin might actually have missed a huge window.
Yeah, I think with the ults that they have still, with the Nano Blade or Nano Visor, they've been hanging on to it now a minute and a half without actually using them. And here we actually get Nalar getting the first Nano Visor, and he opens up by killing HYP and Poco immediately. Narwhal goes down before they can use theirs, and GamersOrigin just too slow, not aggressive enough. I think they need to, not be dying with these ultimates time and time again. Leaf has already, been sitting in this Dragon Blade now for 2 full pushes. You don't need to catch Nano to have an effective Dragon Blade. Just get in there and do the damage. I think they're just struggling really trying to get in at all, but it can certainly help if they use some ults. Here we go, Nano Blade finally out in the back here. Leaf just dashes in on the supports, finds Lucio, but can't quite get the kill. Deeker actually wards him off with just a single biotic grenade. Reed goes down, so losing that Roadhog could be a good window here for GamersOrigin to try to press through. Tijao's up in the front, kind of out of position, and they can swing that Reinhammer a little bit more. They can get it. Earth Shatter lays everyone flat, and ex-ROX hang on yet again.
Yeah, and this has got to be super frustrating if you're on the side of GamersOrigin. You're just not able to get any pushes. Nothing was going off, and that sucks when your Nano Blade isn't able to actually catch anyone at all in that last fight. But Ben Best with that Earth Shatter, and they do still have a Graviton Surge, Earth Shatter, and a Tactical Visor, which can all be used realistically in conjunction with each other. You need to land a good one in the back line. Luckily, there's no D.Va to absorb it. The Graviton Surge keeps everyone together. Ben Best tries to rotate right behind him, charges instead of putting the Earth Shatter down. He knows he doesn't necessarily need to use Earth Shatter instead, and will be swinging around trying to keep himself alive, trying to make sure he doesn't fall down. Does get the healing, so he's out of that dangerous territory that he was before, where he would die and potentially, offer an opportunity for the side of ex-ROX to regroup over time as they push into this final stage of the Streets phase. Tijiao has the opportunity to land one of his signature Graviton Surges. He is hiding right now. He does not want them to see where he is, and now notices the Genji in the backline, knows no one else in there, and will be able to execute as planned, avoiding everything else. He does get a kill on so many people. However, Ben Best is able to save his Earth Shatter from the last fight. However, because his shield is served, will not be able to do much, but this should be more than enough. Leaf comes in through the background using his Dragon Blade, able to dance through the sides of ex-ROX, and able to hopefully clear up Tijiao and able to push this point to all the way to the very end of Streets phase.
Wow, very heroic positioning there. Basically, from GamersOrigin, they had Soldier up on top of the prison. He got the nano boost at the perfect time. It looked like they were going to get all flung from the cart, but Noki managed to line of sight the counter Earth Shatter just enough to actually stay on the cart and continue it from ticking down in overtime. So last-minute heroics overall, allowing them to get into this final stretch, but basically they cannot die at this point. Narwhal going down there as Soldier should be the last death that they incur if they've got any hopes of actually getting through here. The fact that Tijiao used his Graviton Surge and they didn't get the team wipe is really bad for them. Freed actually launching the Whole Hog now to get them off the cart is helpful, but it may actually have been a better idea to hang on to it just with the fact of how little time is still available. They didn't get any kills there, and the entire attacking team is ultless, so it's kind of on ex-ROX now to win this fight outright. Leaf uses a Dragon Blade here, kills Soldier immediately, but that's the only pickup really that they're going to get. Oh, now the kills are starting to pile up. HYP and Noki, the support's getting on the kill feed there, and the cart will continue to move, but it is going to be ex-ROX control at the end of the day.
Yeah, and Leaf is staying alive right now, getting a great pick, and is staying alive. Actually does kill Freed again with the help of HYP, who is able to and land that nade that both heals him and prevents healing from Freed himself. So Leaf has been able to pick up his performance since it's kind of like not been able to convert on Nano Blades before, and now they are pushing their advantage. They have quite a few ultimates. That Nano Visor is going to be online, and it looks like the side of Leaf will be looking to get into the backline instead, and Nalar using his Nano Visor not to kill the rest of the team, but instead to only target one person, and Narwhal is changing that completely up, able to knock out Close as well as Ung as well. So now they're looking into the backline. Nalar chased out by himself, and Tijiao, yes, will get the trade, but that's not going to be nearly enough. Deeker gets taken down by HYP from afar, and that Earth Shatter catches so many people out, and Ben Best being able to push it all the way to the very end. Yes, Ung now onto the Diva will be able to stall at the point now for a relatively long time. Close lands another great Earth Shatter, but Noki is still alive. They will still have their healing, able to execute that sound barrier to give them enough sustain to help them power through the rest of this skirmish. Nalar on the side, on Tracer, trying to generate some more room for themselves, but it looks like the side of ex-ROX is just not able to keep up this fight as everyone just seems to be going down. Poco's getting into someone else. HYP about to get nano boost, and yes, they make it all the way to the end.
Wow, I can't believe that GamersOrigin were able to complete that game. They were held until overtime, capturing point B. They had a minute and a half to do point C, and they still managed to come out on top. Every single ultimate, every single kill had such a huge significance there. The Earth Shatter at the very end, just catching 2 people because they were the last 2 alive, ended up being enormous. I gotta give props again to Noki, the Lucio that is always ever present and aware of the cart, because there were a couple of times where people did actually leave the cart, and I thought the game was just gonna end instantly with the, how fast overtime actually ticks down. Claws just murdering them here in this play of the match. Still not enough to get the win with that quintuple kill. GamersOrigin, man, really sick stuff there. They had a very heroic defense, holding that last stretch for 5 minutes, and then actually just earning it themselves in under a minute and a half is pretty insane.
Yeah, and that's definitely for sure. But man, going up 1-0 there on the side of GamersOrigin on Hollywood, that means that ex-ROX now has the option to pick between, I believe, what is it? It's Lijiang Tower and Volskaya Industries, and I don't know who picked Volskaya. I mean, we can probably take a look at the map and whoa, I just got did I just get kicked
from the match?
I just got booted from the match, man.
I did also. I don't know what happened there.
What is going on here? But it looks like everyone did get booted from the match. I think they just ended the match instead of back to lobby. I got kicked. Let me ask for invite. Alright, awesome. We got an invitation for Norwalk, and I'll be inviting all the other spectators, the wonderful spectators who have been helping out today. Inviting you guys. We all will be playing on Team 2, actually.
The team name bug seems to happen mid-match because it was actually fine at the beginning. I guess when they switch sides,
yeah,
maybe that's
when they switch sides. That's when it occurs.
I see.
Yeah. Well, let's change the update so people actually know who is winning. Hopefully we can. Yeah, they're changing around. Okay, yeah, just gotta make sure. This is tough, man. This dragging and dropping of these text these text items is pretty tilting, man. But yeah, as we can see on the scoreboard, GamersOrigin is up 1-0 over ex-ROX. We will let them know not to use let's just leave them. Thanks for doing that. Yeah, we will be leaving it just team 1 and team 2 because it's just super confusing for our newer viewers who might not know these teams as well, which team that we're talking about. So it does make our lives a little harder, the fact that we do have to actually now remember who's on which team, but that should be more than enough. We did both cast these teams yesterday. So if you're on the side of ex-ROX, and now it's your opportunity to counterpick for your map 2, you have two options, right? You do have like a Koth map, right? And then you also have a 2CP map. Are they going to bring it
They
to
already picked
2CP?
Volskaya.
They're going to bring
they
it
already Ang already picked in the chat there, so we're gonna see a 2 capture map, at least one here today. Didn't actually see any yesterday, and only saw I think 1 control map and 1 control tiebreaker only. So payload hybrid have basically been the order of the day all tournament long, and now we're gonna get a lovely treat and visit Volskaya for the Russian players here.
Yeah, I'm actually very excited for Volskaya. It's nice to see 2CP maps. Obviously, that entire contention where 2CP maps, aren't super competitive the way they are built, and this has to do a lot with spawns and different aspects of how easy it is to defend on certain points. But it will be very interesting to see the different compositions that can be run. I've seen Widow be used a very dominant effect on Volskaya, being able to pick off targets from afar, especially if you can't deal with her. A lot of interesting compositions, and more importantly, in basically ESL Overwatch, there's a lot of interesting ways to set up on defense on this first point. You can take high ground in various places. You can split your defense so you can take high ground on the left side and the right side. The right side being the upper ground, that's the higher ground that's closer to the defense's spawn. Or you can just group yourselves together on one side or the other and use that to force them to challenge you instead. So I'm very interested to see if they actually run dive compositions to counter the specific defensive positions. If they do run a Symmetra or even they run a Torbjorn, I think all these options are definitely possible. Well, Sky is definitely a great map to potentially use. And right now we are waiting for 1 minute. They're definitely taking a short break themselves. But how's everyone doing in chat? I do see Uber shouts and hexagrams have dropped by to say hi, and thank you guys so much for driving by and checking us out. And more importantly, I did see this briefly mentioned, but yeah, if you guys want to give us like any feedback, a props, criticism, or whatever, you guys can find us on Twitter at Ask Joshi for Joshi here, and of course at ScribeOW with a 1 instead of an I for me on Twitter. So be sure to let us know any comments and criticisms. They will all be taken respectfully. Thank you guys so much for watching us, obviously. And of course, I hope the other streams are getting really good numbers as well. It's really awesome to see more native casters in different languages get higher numbers as well. Obviously we do this not just because it's great for EU, but we want to build the EU scene as a whole. So what better way than to allow other languages to speak? But yes, now we're heading into Volskaya Industries, and I have not seen this map in a long time from a spectator mode.
Yeah, I think it's been a long time for me to be in Volskaya as well. I think the last time I was here, SimTorb was still pretty much the order of the day. I think Reinhardt May, SimTorb, something like that actually happened. But on offense, this is where things are a bit different now. I actually haven't cast since the balance patch where Quad Tank was showing up constantly. Back then, it was really about having D.Va and Winston leap onto a specific target around the outside of the point. It was less about the doorway itself, but that was because Symmetra, Torb, Soldier are all kind of really good at staying up on high ground. So they basically just play the point itself on A. Attackers would just run dive with Genji, Winston, or D.Va, but I think that would suit some teams better than others. I think that ex-ROX hasn't really been doing a lot of dive. They've just been running with Nalara on hit scan and running a lot of 3 tanks. So that is what they're going to be choosing here for the defense. Narwhal, I don't know if we actually got to see him play some Pharah yesterday, but I do agree with Pharah as being a pretty good offensive choice on Volskaya, just all around, as she does have a lot of aerial cover and can take some free shots at the point, basically from that spawn choke.
Yep, and now we'll be jumping on right now with Ben Best. And let me just turn on health again. We're jumping on right now with Ben Best as he's pushing with the rest of his team to see if he can contest this first point. Now, a lot of this is about information finding. You want to know where your opponents are at this part. And it looks like everyone's stacking up around the right side. They aren't running anything super cheesy. So right now, this side of ex-ROX is basically contesting that right side. They want to make sure that you can jump onto the point, and that's as much as you're going to get. GamersOrigin playing a very tricky fight. They are running the D.Va though, so they will be able to mitigate some damage during this trade. And now they're onto the point, and this is where the contention will probably start.
Yeah, I think after the first tick is about to be secured, that's normally when you'll see them drop down, and Tease Out and Claws do just that. It's the offensive composition is actually double hit scan here, no Pharah at all, and this is the first time McCree has actually poked his head out today. Ben Best misses the charge there, but does still secure the kill on Claws in the end, so point A is going to be captured in just the first push. Welcome to Volskaya, everybody.
Yeah, and this is going to get really rough because now they have almost 7 minutes to push the second point, but as we all know, 7 minutes honestly might not even be enough time to do this. I'm very interested to see actually that Leaf is on the McCree. This will be very interesting to see if he can get any large picks, if he can pick up a support very early on in the process. This push could be very easy for them as well, and it looks like the side of ex-ROX not really challenging the high ground right now. They're basically just trying to see where they're going to be coming from. They do see I think they saw a glimpse of Freed in that lower area with that hook available. If they run past it without checking the corner, it looks like Freed will be giving up his advanced position. But if Freed had stayed there, potentially they could have gotten a very lucky pick, which allowed them to, sustain this defense just a little more. And now they're just going for pot shots to see if they can, allow it. They will be pushing the upper right-hand side. They did not manage to cage off the Lucio, but Deeker will be going off. And Freed, however, has gotten a pick on Narwhal, so that's one of their bigger long-range DPS dealers down for the count as of now. And it looks like the Dead Eye will be up, but they might have to review. Actually, never mind. Leaf gets a Family Hammer into a lot of people. Freed goes down with 91% of the damage done, and he will be turned off, though he will be knocked off and knocked back, and looks like they will be regrouping.
Yeah, full regroup there, just individual kills adding up there. Basically, it's really hard to attack into the second capture point if you lose someone on the way in, so that's what a majority of the defenses are designed to do. Nalar up on the high ground in the back lets him get free reign on the front door. The positioning that they used on the top left area, they're going to be going there again, alternating that Rhine Shield and D.Va Matrix just to be able to get into the door without losing anybody. But really the trick is, how do you engage from here? They've got all 6 ultimates. They really just need to start hitting the buttons. The Sound Barrier is going to be a great way to basically just get them in there with that speed boost as well. But right now they're just kind of sharking around the side together. Poco gets put to sleep. Sound Barrier comes out to protect the high noon. Leaf cannot get the kills he's looking for. Sound Barrier comes out on the defense as well. Revs on Surge, Earth Shatter all coming out now, and it looks like the red team here, GamersOrigin, actually got the start going pretty well for them, but Nalar with Attack Visor and Freed with the Whole Hog ultimates pouring out enough damage to actually salvage the point. I think GamersOrigin, I'm not really sure what happened there aside from just positioning issues, because they did get the better of the ultimates at the beginning with the high noon and the Sound Barrier. The positioning was just all over the place, and Poco was asleep for the beginning of the fight, so cannot get it to pay off this time around. 4 minutes 28 seconds, and again, like any single fight could just totally go one way or the other, so the fact that they all use their ultimates there doesn't really mean a whole lot. One more fight could change the entire thing. Narwhal switching off of Soldier onto Reaper could also change things up here.
Yeah, and this is going to be relatively difficult from them to take it again. They do not have a lot of ultimates to build up. In the meantime, Claus still does have his Earth Shatter, so in case they do get into bad position where they need an engagement, they will be able to punish. The Anonade will reduce healing on Leap temporarily, so he's less inclined to dive in because he will be so low. However, he should be getting the healing soon enough, and they are trying to be a big flank from both sides of that. The Earth Shatter lands on 3 targets, and they all will be cleaned up almost entirely. So the side of ex-ROX using this to their advantage. They're basically saying, you know what, we landed a great Earth Shatter, we're going to push you back, and now they're aggressive. They want to stagger these people as much as possible. Hype will be able to, I think, get away. Yes, he will be able to get away, and the side of ex-ROX smartly decides to back up again. They do not want to be caught out of position in this case.
Yeah, every push has just been punished basically on the way in, and I don't know how they're going to avoid that with the composition that they have. They could you know, attempt to move over from the right side in the narrow hallway rather than on the lifted area, but who knows if that's going to actually do any better for them. Nalar does have his attack visor ready to go here, so Reinhardt just pushing up, saving his shield as much as he can until he actually sets foot on the point, misses the charge. Graviton Surge comes up from the defense, only catches Ben Best. Noki jumps in with him for whatever reason, but losing that Rein at the beginning of the fight again, going to go poorly for the attacking team.
Yeah, and right now they're able to basically use this to their advantage. They're going to clean up the rest of this fight, regroup. They do have quite a few ultimates that they are going to be able to use. That is going to be good news for them at this point. And this is going to be, you know, this is going to be a little interesting for them to see how well they're able to allocate their ultimates to the majority of this fight. DK has the nano boost, so that tactical visor is another option. HYP will be waiting for a combination of things. He can get that Death Blossom, the nano boosted Death Blossom to work if they need to clear out the point temporarily, but it's not exactly sure what they're going to do. They have a lot of options. It looks like that nano boosted attack visor will be used on the side of Nalar, but Nalar is just hunting targets right now. He's going very deep. Ben Best has made the choice to stay back, and they are able to clean up Leaf and Noki. So that 6-minute window that we were talking about before has already dwindled to around 2 minutes. They still have a few tools. Freed will be able to push people off the point with the hold hog, and they soon will have a sound barrier to mitigate some of the damage, hopefully mitigating some of the Death Blossom damage if needed.
Well, Narwhal, I mean, Death Blossom is so hard to get into position for these days. Basically, everyone can do something to screw you up, whether it's a hook, a Zarya bubble, a boop from Lucio, sleep dart from Ana. Here comes the Dragon Blade, actually. Nano Blade is going to be the order of the day here. Leaf jumping straight onto Deeker in the backline. Sound Barrier actually gives him another slice to survive. There's Graviton Surge coming out, only catches Claws. Deeker actually falls off the side in the back there. Claws going down as well, but it's a 4v4, and they've lost the majority of their damage. HYP and Narwhal finally dying as well, and suddenly they're down to one real push opportunity. They have a few ults to use with it, but so do the defenders, and ex-ROX have been doing a very good job here on defense in point B, mostly on the back of Nalar and his soldier play, but essentially just because no one is dying. They're all doing a great job scattering whenever the offense does actually finally come in. The ult usage has been pretty good as well. They managed to survive a fight where the enemy had 6 ults. So ex-ROX just playing phenomenally well here on defense.
Yeah, and right now let's jump on with a little bit of DK right there, who will be able to see the majority of the Graviton Surge. That's a good Graviton Surge, which is comboed with, you know, with not much, with a charge, I guess, in the meantime. But Ben Best will go into the background and get an Earth Shatter off, and that sets up perfectly for that Death Blossom to clear out the majority of the fight. Ung is the last person alive on this point, and it looks like the side of GamersOrigin finally, after a long winded fight, will finally be able to push their advantage, capturing almost the entire point. They do take down T Xiao just as he's about to trace onto the point, and they're able to capture with 21 seconds remaining. And honestly, if I'm talking about Volskaya in general, I'm actually very happy that I managed to capture it all. So that's huge on their side.
Yeah, I think just the fact that it took so long to set up the Reaper ult is really all that they had to do. The Earth Shatter into Death Blossom working out beautifully for them there, but again, 21 seconds is like nothing. If Tornado Rocks or ex-ROX actually happen to finish with like 4 or 5 minutes, this game is still kind of over. It's pretty rough to finish with only 20 seconds, but at least the map will end instantly if ex-ROX do actually happen to cap both points, and ex-ROX did, you know, make the selection to come here over Lijiang Tower, so I'm curious if they're going to bust out some strategy that maybe we're not expecting. It looks like the early lock-in, the only difference that I see there is Tijao onto a D.Va rather than Zarya, and that is, of course, to help deal with the high ground that you're expecting on point A. On defense, if Poco actually does come out here with Widowmaker, I'll be shocked, but delighted. Now he is going to launch himself into the ocean there. Probably going to be seeing him come back on Zarya, as you'd expect.
Yeah, and I don't know if that's just a mind game or not. We're saying, oh, by the way, we could potentially run, you know, a Widow if we really wanted to, but they will be running a pretty solid composition as they get onto the point right now. And Poco, I don't know what Poco is doing. I feel like Poco is trying to mind game them into thinking like what he's gonna run, because he's jumped off as both Mei and Widow as of now. He will be going on to the D.Va, which I guess is a bigger surprise. I mean, maybe we thought he was going to go to Zarya, but D.Va is equally as good, being able to contest this high ground, especially. One of the only ways you're going to be able to fight this high ground is if you have a long-range, you know, DPS hit scan character. So D.Va does offer an option to get in their faces and counter them hardcore. But as we can see, a lot of teams running that. The side of ex-ROX, though, only running single DPS.
Yeah, single DPS is pretty scary, but honestly, triple tank is still pretty strong. So Tijao just needs to get up in the face of all these opponents on the high right side here. If he can actually boop someone off the back, that would be great as well. You can see them taking the almost exact same entry route there as we saw in the previous round. Benbest and company just alternating Diva and Reinhardt shields, but now they have jumped on the point, so they got to go down to challenge. You can see them start to spill over the sides now. Noki just trying to keep everyone up here as Lucio. Someone actually got put to sleep. Leaf, I think, actually fell asleep and got destroyed there by Claws. So early start here for ex-ROX.
Yeah, for sure right now. And Norwalk will be taken out. And this battle is actually going very one-sidedly inside the side of ex-ROX. And this might just be Volskaya point one being able to charge out into the point and disrupt the way that someone's holding high ground. And this is kind of one of the hardest parts about defending high ground is that you have to figure out a good time to jump down. And oftentimes giving up that position or forcing yourself into a bad position to do that is not the optimal choice. So ex-ROX will be able to push in around the same amount of time. This is both one push things. So it's all going to be about how hard you can hold this initial point. Ultimates are available on the side of Claws though, so he does have that Earth Shatter that he can potentially use, but the side of GamersOrigin playing very safe, not taking forward steps. They want to make sure they can chip them down from above. Leaf still on that Reaper though in case they go for a close engagement.
Yeah, so far in point B, it's been pretty much the exact same setup that we saw from the previous team. GamersOrigin just hanging out with the Soldier in the background, healers all the way off on the sides. Earthshatter only catches Poco there, so not the best opening they could have asked for. Leaf and Benbest both finding a couple of kills. Nalar goes with the Nano Visor and is just raining damage down. Finds Noki and HYP. Poco goes down eventually as well, but it's a bit of a 3v3 situation. ex-ROX really need to capitalize on some more kills if they're going to take it here and now. Aang is the only one on the point uncontested, but Narwak is right there to be able to contest. He is going to actually launch his tac visor, which I would obviously have advised against with my third-person knowledge here. He had plenty of teammates there with him, and I think, yeah, that was definitely a waste there from Narwak, but in the end, 5 minutes 46 seconds left for ex-ROX to try and take point B. GamersOrigin were only able to do it in the last 20 seconds, so I have to give ex-ROX the advantage still.
Yeah, and this is where it's going to get relatively difficult, but not because they've stalled long enough for Benbest and HYP to both get their ultimates if needed. So Benbest is going to be the big one that you really need to look for. Earthshatter catches so many targets. T-Zao will go down, and then Nano Boost will come out to mitigate some damage and allow him to swing through the rest of his enemies. And he's just holding mouse one and going at it. Freed does manage to jump underneath them to get away for a brief second, but Benbest pushing the advantage, knows that Deeker could be caught out. If Deeker's caught out, that's not exactly what you want. That great Fire Strike does manage to catch him out, and now they see Ung as well, and Ung has no luck at all, gets taken down by Helix Rocket. So they managed to stall out the supports, buying them a little more time, and actually this actually impacts them a little more because they will be hitting some good ultimate timings in the time that they're waiting. Leaf will get the Death Blossom up, which is a good anti-clear maneuver, basically forces them not to come very close, or if they do, they need to have shields up, they need to have a way to prevent all the damage from currently happening. Freed does have the whole hog, which means that Reinhardt's shield could be in jeopardy on the side of ex-ROX.
The stagger kills that they got earlier on paying off in the form of extra seconds to defend here. Benbest just launching himself in there. Freed reacting with the whole hog. Does get him break the Reinhardt shield and send everyone backwards just a little bit, but the kills have gone in either direction. 5v5 to continue on here. Here's the group hug, the double Graviton Surge. You can see the sound barrier on the side of the defense. So GamersOrigin looking pretty good here. They lose Benbest to an Earthshatter combo there, and actually a lot of ex-ROX standing on the point now. All four of them that are still alive are piling in. Deeker is back on Anna as well, so their full force will be here in just a moment. This is do or die time for GamersOrigin. They do have a Nano Visor combo. Can they do it without losing their soldier to some CC or being killed? Benbest drops an Earthshatter into the shield of Claws. It's not going to happen. Narwak drops the Tac Visor, but does not have the Nano Boost to go with it. Poco helps him out to secure a kill, and that capture is essentially completely filled right now. Noki cannot leave the point. Leaf cannot leave the point, or it will be over.
Yeah, and it does look like that's going to be how the cookie crumbles. They try to get the Sombra onto the point, and Benbest will do his awesome best to stay alive, but that looks like they will be capturing that in 4 minutes and 2 seconds, 3 minutes more than their opponents had. And as we've seen with for first point on Volskaya, this point can be taken very, very easily. So it's all going to be about how quickly that does occur. Now, I do want to point out, because I was hovering over Nalar a decent amount in that fight, and Nalar's aim was actually kind of was really pristine there. Even though the Graviton Surge kept a lot of people in check, he specifically was targeting Narwhal, knowing that, hey, that's going to be one of the big win conditions. If I can take out the enemy DPS dealer at this very point, it should be easy enough for our team to win the rest of the fight. So he was specifically focusing on hitting headshots on Narwhal as he was trapped in the Graviton Surge. Really smart play from him initially, but we're seeing some stuff right now. We're seeing some shenanigans. T Zhao is saying, well, you know what? We don't really have a lot of time to take this point. So if I run Bastion and I get that first great pick, there's no way you're going to be able to push the rest of this point. So this is something that's going to be relatively unexpected. I don't know if the side of GamersOrigin is ready for something like this, because even though Bastion should be relatively easy to deal with, like once you understand where the positioning is, if you're going blind into this composition, it's very hard. Poco does have the D.Va, but if anyone in this composition gets caught out at all by the Bastion, this could be bad news.
Yeah, surprise Bastion can definitely pay off. We've seen him come out in extra rounds in a number of different maps. I think Gibraltar attack extra rounds. He very often makes appearances still, but he has been dwindling a bit. Obviously, 2 capture maps are not super popular at the moment either, so Bastion's usefulness is a little bit lower. Here we see the exact same entry route, except this time there's a McCree actually lurking behind them. Freed lying in wait here with the Scrooge golden gun, and they did not detect him at all. So as soon as he makes his move, he's starting to head in there now. But there's just a big pile of bad guys, so he's waiting for his team to communicate. Actually, they end up taking a completely different route. Once they see the Bastion, they just take the low ground route instead, and they've actually pretty much infiltrated it. But a lot of time has been burned off the clock. Again, they only had a minute, and now they're down to just 20 seconds while they transpose sides here.
Yeah, and as of right now, they're trying to Earth Shatter through and catch off the Bastion, hopefully get some damage on top, but it looks like that's not going to be the case, and you're right, it's only 9 seconds on the clock, and he gets knocked out. Leaf gets knocked out. That's one of DPS there's out of the way. Yes, they managed to take down Bastion, but this fight is just not going the way they want. Freed will be dying. Do you have one person on point? They do not. Overtime will be taken down. Nalar has to win this fight. Norwalk does get managed to take him down, so that's actually really huge on his part. He's managed to outduel this fight. He is down right now, but luckily he will get some healing before falling, and it looks like that's not going to be nearly enough on their side. And Poco trying his best to stay alive and will be able to capture the point solo right now. And this is going to be a competition of who gets here faster, and I'm going to be honest, Volskaya is not a great answer. They have been able, to the best of my knowledge, capture this first point. I do believe the way this works is that if they capture this point, they will get 30 seconds to advance to the next point. So that's just enough time to get onto the point to even just to contest it at this point. Poco, great heroic effort right there, getting them that first point, so making this a viable hold if need be. Worst case scenario, this goes to a tie, and then we can see what goes on next. However, they're just waiting right now. They know they have 13 seconds. This push has to count. They do have Ben Best out in front, trying to get so much damage, and that backline D.Va trying to do as much damage in the front. Ben Best rushes in before he gets capped by an Ana nade. They are able to trade out on Ung, who goes down as the Winston, but this is just a bunch of backline fights right now. Nalar able to use it in the background. In the sights is popped, I think, but it's not really doing as much damage as they need to. Nalar pops it just for grins right now, just winding down the rest of the overtime clock, and that's exactly what they will be doing. They have stopped the second point capture, but that will take a huge heroic effort from the side of GamersOrigin to get that first point.
That was pretty awesome, actually. The fact that the point A fight just devolved all the way down to a D.Va versus a Lucio. That's not like a winnable fight for Lucio by any means, but the fact is, like, Poco could have had only like 100 HP or something like that, so it was a very intense fight there to capture point A, and actually may have secured a draw for them. The odds of losing this game at least went down drastically because of the fact that they captured A, and that is, again, part of the reason that 2-cap maps are not exactly loved. Like, ex-ROX did way better on the first iteration, and it is, you know, now incredibly likely that we'll end in a draw just because of how little time is actually left to traverse the entire map. But as we kind of get a look inside the locker room here, you can see a lot of offensive characters being selected. It looks very reminiscent of X Reunited, while on the defense they are going double hit scan, not using a Bastion this time around. But yeah, I can't believe that they managed to capture A after wasting 40 seconds just running around the point.
Yeah, and this is going to be very interesting to see what the approach is on their side. They have 4 minutes and 2 seconds to use, and they are going to be running interesting. It looks like a dive composition, and this could be very good because I don't think there's a lot of great ways on the side of defense to necessarily deal with it. They do have flashbang for control, but besides that, if they're able to execute properly, I cannot see this realistically going that far wrong, but of course I've always been wrong before. So meanwhile, the side of ex-ROX is slowly pushing up onto the point. They do recognize where the high ground is. This is the exact same place GamersOrigin held last time, and now they will be jumping in claws into the fray to do a little bit of damage to make sure the rest of the team can keep up. And Nalar in the background does take down Leave. The flashbang is no longer available, so there's no way to ruin this or deal with him. He is able to recall, tries to get alive, but he is going to get hit by the Ananates, who will not be able to heal as well. Meanwhile, back onto the point, Ong is trying to sustain his team as much as possible. Teased out on the Zarya, is still alive, and Ben Best is going to get booped out of the point, where Nalar is going to take him out from behind. Narwhal trying to be a hero himself, trying to stay alive, do as much damage as he can, but he will be going down, and it looks like this is going to be an easy first point capture.
All right, well, this is ex-ROX's one opportunity. They actually captured it so quickly that it's reasonable enough for them to try and take A here. They actually did, to take B. They actually did take B in this amount of time last time. So just a couple of pushes to work with. They should have their ults building up. Nalar actually already has a pulse bomb. Freed getting very low on health, almost as he got his Dragon Blade available there, but as it stands, ex-ROX actually still getting the kills they're looking for. Nalar has been just a superstar here on Volskaya. He was showing, brass buns at point A, just jumping into the pile of everybody and still coming out with kills. And the kills are piling up again. Ben Best has returned to the point, but Winston's right there to zap through that shield. Graviton Surge holds him in place, and they get the kill. Now it's just Narwhal with the tactical visor. He ends up trading with a Tracer there somehow, but as the Soundbarrier comes out here for the attacking team, they're going to cap it, and that is match complete. They end up taking Volskaya and forcing a game 3 here on a Lijiang tower. So Drawskaya has been avoided, just ex-ROX looking quite dominant here across the board.
Yeah, and this is huge on their side. Being able to take it 1-1 and bringing it to one last Koth map is going to be more than enough on their side. And Nalar has just been a hero this entire game. And Narwhal too. Narwhal has been very influential. I think this is going to be that big Death Blossom that he does get off. I want to say, I'm not even sure. Yep, it's going to be that big Death Blossom. We have not seen this in so long. I'm gonna be honest. We have not seen a Death Blossom win play of the game in so long. But both DPS players going off. Narwhal clearly showing he is one of the best hits game player characters on this server currently. But Nalar with that Tracer play, able to pick off so many targets and still stay alive at the end of the day. That's one of the most amazing things about good Tracers, is that how long they're able to be in your backline and be a huge nuisance.
Yeah, just survivability. As long as you're there, you're providing an unmeasurable statistic called like annoyance, basically. Like any amount of time that you can drag a healer away from actually healing people and stuff like that. Oh, what is going on with our lobby all the time? Anyway, basically, yeah, the more annoying you are, the more effective you are. Even if you're not getting kills, you are a distraction that they just cannot ignore, and that basically does two things. It pulls them away from doing things that they want to be doing in game, like killing your teammates, and it just leaves them with that feeling of dread, basically. Like, if they turn their back on Tracer, will she just appear instantly and start shooting me again? Do I have to protect my healers? It just changes the entire decision chain, just having a Tracer exist nearby.
Yeah, and I'm actually very interested to see if there's a way to necessarily deal with that per se. I mean, I do think that, for example, running like a McCree could be a potential way if you can get a flashbang on a squishy target, double headshot. It's very possible. And now we're actually being invited by Norwalk into another room, another lobby. This is gonna be pretty interesting. Let me invite everyone who is not in this room currently. All right, doing that, and then we will be able to move on to this third match of this best of 3. For everyone joining us, this is the ex-ROX versus GamersOrigin semifinal. We will be casting immediately after this game the X Reunited versus Dignitas semifinal. So if that's what you're waiting for, guys, please stay tuned. And more importantly, catch the rest of this game. This game has been so intense so far. We saw a very, very competitive Volskaya. We saw a very interesting Hollywood hero hold from the side of GamersOrigin, and now we're gonna see Lijiang Tower. This map is probably one of my favorite Koth maps available, but also allows for a lot of opportunity to allow different characters and stuff like that, especially on Command Center, which we have seen some Sombra in there, which will be able to derive some health pack advantage. I'm wondering if we'll see that again. GamersOrigin did run that, which HYP, instead of running a secondary support, they did run a Sombra instead, using the health pack respawn increase to be able to heal their team a lot better and generate that EMP for the mid-game team fights.
Yeah, I think HYP was the only one to bust out Sombra, and they lost those rounds. But like the change in strategy at least is admirable. We'll see if they end up doing that again. Team two is still missing. Oh, is actually Gamers Origin still missing Poco there as he gets in. This is definitely going to be the last game here of our semifinal between ex-ROX and Gamers Origin, the full France squad versus the mostly Russian squad. And you know, both of these guys actually, these teams won their groups in yesterday's play, so still very evenly matched. We're reaching a third game, I think, for the 100th time in this tournament. So many teams are very equal in skill with each other. So Leaf asking if we're ready. Cast ready. As soon as ex-ROX gives confirmation, we should be firing away.
All right, they want to do team names again, but oh, I guess we can do team names for this one because Koth doesn't change, so we can probably do it. But oh man, this is Blizzard. Please fix this. This is like this is something small that we would like you to fix. That way we don't have to worry about it. But don't worry about it. We know who these teams are, and we hope that you guys knows these teams well as well. Walking into Lijiang Tower, and this is gonna be fun. Let's see what our first map is. It's gonna be Garden. We're going to head out to here. This is a great opportunity for teams to use Pharah potentially if they want to have the air dominance and be able to change it in those aspects. So I'm looking forward to see what they're running. It looks like the side of ex-ROX running a pretty standard composition. They're not changing anything up. They're saying, hey, we feel comfortable with what we have. Meanwhile, on the side of Gamers Origin, obviously still trolling me. They just they don't want to show off their picks before the round starts. But HYP on Pharah that doesn't seem too outlandish, and I would not be surprised if that was the composition that they ended up running out. We'll obviously keep an eye out on that spawn specifically. But if Leaf does come out, yeah, HYP does switch over to the Zenyatta. He's going to offer the Zenyatta versus the Ana here just because you can shred tanks better. It's more of like, you know, you can do more damage. You can 1v1 people on yourself. Leaf instead will be going the Pharah. So that's actually a very interesting option. Not a lot of hit scan on the side of ex-ROX.
Yeah, I think HYP has just been in that healer role for so long. Sombra is the only kind of oddball pick that we've seen out of him aside from Zen and Ana. But Leaf could actually do a lot of damage here on Pharah. This is their first triple DPS that we've seen out of them today. And on the other side, they're still running triple tank. So ex-ROX have been quite successful with that up to this point. We'll see if they can keep it going. And the Biotic Grenade, an immediate kill on Winston, shows that they are looking pretty solid already. Leaf scoring a kill early means that hit scan may need to be ordered up here by ex-ROX right away.
Yeah, and this is just getting brutal. Leaf hitting a lot of mid-air rockets on his big targets, displacing a lot of supports in the meanwhile. And yes, there is one person left on the point. Claws will go down. Nalar is still alive, and I think that Leaf actually manages to kill himself accidentally, but that should be fine. He should be have enough time to respawn and journey back. This side of Gamers Origin very able to, you know, assume control on this point. They're not going to contest the central site. They're just going to contest this right side bridge to see if they're going to walk through this chokehold.
And so far, it's going to be Gamers Origin taking full advantage of that first fight, getting the point in their side. And at the beginning of the next fight, Narwhal and HYP die so quickly that ex-ROX actually looking pretty good. The barrage, of course, does hold Pharah in place for quite a long time. She does eventually eat enough damage to fall, but did actually dish some out as well. Freed on the Roadhog is down. Lucio, Noki been doing a great job on Lucio all day long, but cannot keep the point flip for too long. 31% now for Gamers Origin before ex-ROX take control for the first time. ex-ROX still have not ordered up any hit scans, so they're confident enough that they'll be able to kill a single Pharah time and time again. So far, Pharah's gotten something like 4 or 5 killing blows, and they've killed her once, so we'll just have to see if that does pay off or not. Earthshatter catches 3 there on the bridge, and Nalar is actually there with him to capitalize on those kills. So ex-ROX, great ult combo there, just enough to keep the point in their control for another 15-20%.
Yeah, and this is going to be good news for their side because remember, Leaf was on that Pharah and realizes that maybe he needs something a little more impactful. We'll be switching on to the Genji in this case. And now this is where it's going to get big, right? Because the triple DPS composition on the side of Gamers Origin is relatively squishy. And Ung says, I don't really care about you guys. I want to get 2 kills almost immediately just by booping them off the ledge. And now he's going to be able to try to sustain the rest rest of the fight. Norwalk is super low, will be taken down, and Ung is the man of the match so far. He's just going off on killing sprees. He says, yeah, I don't really need your DPS dealers, but that's a good super boop, knocking 2 people off the ledge, really preventing that momentum from occurring, and now he will be ferrying Freed back onto the point so they can get back just in time for them to sustain. And it looks like the side of GamersOrigin, not willing to take that risk again, will be proceeding the safe way around the right.
Yeah, Freed keeps trying for these hooks and swinging and missing. Leaf has actually swapped off of Pharah back onto Genji, and he's going to get tickle lasered, but he still finds the kill onto Tijao. It looked like a deflect there on Whole Hog. No, actually a boop from Noki does send him flying off the ledge, so very nice work there again from Noki on the Lucio, getting the kill and the lifesaver, preventing Whole Hog from doing too much damage. They flipped back to their control, 35% now for GamersOrigin, 85 for ex-ROX, so that is basically one and done territory. If they can win a big team fight and flip the point back in their favor, it's going to be very difficult for GamersOrigin to try and have a trickle defense to take it back. So we've got a mana boost onto Nalar very quickly here, throws out a pulse bomb but didn't actually stick it. Claws actually falling very quickly. Deeker and Tijao all down, and that is GamersOrigin hanging on once again. Should be able to get up to about 70% now. Things are looking a little bit scarier for ex-ROX.
Yeah, honestly, I was very surprised they won that initial team fight, but it looks like they were able to execute it without burning a lot of ultimates. So they're actually hitting a lot of their big timings on their characters. Ben Best will have that primal rage in case they want to, knock people off ledges or displace them from the point. And, the side of ex-ROX, they're actually taking the safer path, as opposed to what GamersOrigin, where they kind of just, like brute forced it in. They will be, trying to drive into the point, trying to contest it. But I don't think they know what Leaf's nano boost timing is. Normok will be taken out, but however, that big tracer trade is a big deal. Leaf is on the ground, will get pinned, so he's out of the fight for the foreseeable future. Ben Best with that primal rage knocking people off the point, but he's alone. He does not have any support with it. So even though he's fighting 2 supports, he's not going to be able to kill them immediately and will be immediately knocked out of it. So he will be going down relatively soon. Leaf rushing to the point, trying to help this team as they've now hit the overtime meter. Jumps in and kills Ung as Ung's trying to wall ride and try to stall out more time. Leaf has the nano blade, so he has the ability to clear this out, and Nalar just is not enough to help support him, and looks like Leaf will be cleaning up the rest of this fight. Overtime ticks down. They will be taking round 1 of this Lijiang Tower map on Guardian, and it looks like GamersOrigin with that solid comeback.
Yeah, really good stuff across the board from GamersOrigin. I think perhaps the most surprising to me is the fact that Poco is actually a very formidable soldier. He's been playing Diva and Zarya up to this point basically every single time that we've passed GamersOrigin. So to see him bust out the soldier and land some Helix rocket kills, good ult timings, is very nice to see on the side of GamersOrigin. If they're going to be running 3 DPS, it's good to know that Poco is quite capable on the soldier. And the fact that Leaf swapped over from Pharah, despite them not running a hit scan, only died twice and got a barrage off, but switching back to Genji seemed to be a little bit better for him, being able to make use of the wall climbing and things like that, dashes to get in and out of battle, seemed to work out a little bit better for him. So as long as Noki can keep getting those boops, and Poco and Leaf can continue to get the kills there, Narwhal can just continue running point, trying to keep his healers up and defend against the enemy tracer, Nalar, who is a huge threat at all times.
Yeah, and it looks like Nalar already in the backline, making it difficult for people to really find out where he is. That Winston gets it, and Aboune will not be able to heal up, so that's pretty easy on his side. Poco does take the advantage. He landed a Helix rocket. In the meantime, Nalar making it very problematic. Poco not able to kill him almost immediately, will get the healing to sustain on the point. They have started taking it over, so that means the side of ex-ROX will be playing more aggressive. They don't need to sustain the point. They know it's going to take up as it goes, so they're going to confront them on the outside of it. And Poco, who has been such a strong soldier before, looking for a good avenue for that tactical visor to be unleashed. He's at 84% right now, looking for Freed out in the open. Doesn't want to get hooked, so he's noticed he did cross underneath, so he will be going for the long range shots. Dicker will be able to land a few light blows on him. He does duck, avoids the Roadhog hook, and he gets a quick double kill on top of most of the threats. And Claus puts down his shield almost inopportunely, but he doesn't care. He doesn't really need to finish it. Now he's dealing with Nalar specifically. Nalar not able to out damage the heal station, and yes, that sticky bomb does land, but that's more than enough on his side. He was able to commit so much of the attention to everyone trying to focus down the soldier that Poco was able to derive attention away from the rest of his teammates, allowing Norwalk and Leaf to do a lot of damage and clean up this fight. And he hasn't even burned his ultimate yet. He still has that tactical advisor for the next fight.
Yeah, good stuff. GamersOrigin finally flipping the point back over, now at 15% themselves against 42. Benbest leaping into the back line immediately to try and displace those healers, but a Nano Boost comes out onto Claus. There's a Ana Rhine combo on one side and Genji Zenyatta on the other. So far, it's been very back and forth on who's capitalizing. Nalar actually this time driving the action, getting a couple of kills very quickly onto some squishies, including just headshotting Poco to death there. Flip right back here for ex-ROX, 47%. Not the best show of staying power there from GamersOrigin with the one tank. They are still rather flimsy overall at about 200 or 300 less HP than their opponents here, so they will need to make use of their support ultimates here. They do have Transcendence ready to go for this one, so big potential here. Without the Nano Boost, so it's going to be on Triple and Deep to really get their ultimate to deal the damage that they need. Reed catches a sound barrier and launches a whole hog at the same time, gets Benbest out of the fight immediately. The sword there from Leaf, unable to really get much done. Did end up getting 2 kills in the end, though, thanks to help from Poco and Narwhal, so that could be GamersOrigin flipping it back.
Yeah, and this is kind of just a tale of teams being better on retake, then sustaining onto the point. Ung will go down, meaning that point will be reset with, to the side of GamersOrigin, and this is going to be great for them. They want to take up. They did stop it at 90%, so they will have one more retake potentially if they, even if they go down and they have the point flipped over in that case. So they will be trying to confront outside the point. Now, like you pointed out, this is the composition we saw Reunited run a lot. Reunited run a lot. It's a very squishy composition. Close goes straight in with the Earth Shatter. Doesn't really catch anyone, and Leaf somehow manages to stay alive, even though he dashed off the edge. So that's actually a really interesting Earth Shatter. Maybe he was trying to go for more aggressive looks, seeing if anyone was holding that specific corner. But that just leads into another team kill. Bell, he has burned one of the most impactful ultimates, because once again, this problem with this dive composition, this Reunited composition, is that they don't have a way to cleanse out the Earth Shatter. So that's a really easy way to land. Easy CC on his side. Leaf, in the meantime, almost building up to another Nano Blade. Freed misses that hook, and now they realize they're on the point, and they're going to catch it. They switch it over because they just give it up, which is perfectly fine, I guess, but that sound barrier will be allow them to mitigate so much more of the damage. They're up to 92% right now. He needs to stay alive. Luther's just trying to contest the point, buy enough time for the rest of his team. He's waiting for the Nano Boost to expire. Will be coming down. The Ana eventually gets hooked into it and will not be able to do it. Ana will go down. Poco has great aim on that side, checks that corner, makes sure it is close, does not have enough avenue to really defend himself, and there's not enough shields currently alive once he goes down, and Poco is just going on a rampage, just clicking heads and making sure everyone's going down. Nalar trying his best to stay alive, trying to recall, but he will be going down as well. Great aim from Poco, flipping incredibly quickly, has his tactical visor as well, and he should be able to get this up to 90% for the next push.
GamersOrigin perhaps a little bit lucky there. It's one of my pet peeves actually when a team is in control of a point like this and just lets it flip over. Like, if you're gonna fight on the objective. It really just drives me crazy. But the fact is their comp is suited toward kind of attacking in from multiple angles rather than having one cohesive force. So it worked out in the end. Graviton Surge off the side here. Leaf should not fall in, but he does get taken out anyway by the Tracer of Nalar. It's just Narwhal on the point. Poco and HYP and a Benbest having to do their best 3v3 here. Benbest gets put to sleep, so Poco really the driving force as Lucio and Poco both go down. This fight continues to devolve. The Orb of Discord on Tracer helps secure that kill. Anchor goes down as well, and Benbest just standing on the point by his lonesome now against Reed. Does get the job done. Claus trying to march his way in there to keep overtime continuing, but I think it is going to be GamersOrigin in the end. They do flip it back, so now as it takes 99%, we're going to have a little bit of a trickle here. Nalar and Aang have the potential to actually touch the point, but I don't see them lasting for very much longer. GamersOrigin just have too good of a presence now. They're not going to let go. And that's 2-0 here on Lijiang Tower after ex-ROX looked so good on Volskaya. They are starting to get kicked around a little bit here on the control map.
Yeah, and this is honestly going to be really, really difficult for the side of of ex-ROX. They just did not find a solution to deal with this, and you had to be upset, right? You were dealing with a sleeping Winston and then a Zenyatta on one side, and you were just like, oh, we can't kill it. RTTBSers got out-fragged by a support himself, so props to HYP for hitting those headshots and using the Discord to his advantage and stalling out long enough for the rest of the team to catch up. And man, we pointed it out before, but HYP we saw he has the aim on Zenyatta. I wonder if he's going to bring this in, and it looks like he will be. And we've seen this before. He hacks the close health pack, the small health pack on that side to allow them to get a little more energy there. He might head outside to hack the health pack as well. But in the meantime, he's just basically allowing his team to accumulate and wants to build up hack if he can. But it looks like people already know what he's going to be running. They zip through and they basically try to confront him and make sure he's not able to use his invisibility for his advantage, while his team is currently very divided. They're trying to figure out how to engage on this threat. They do not have 2 supports, so they need to make sure they pick their fights very carefully.
In this first fight here, ex-ROX actually in a very awkward position. Claws and Freed basically playing as a unit did get trapped and eventually taken out there. Freed and Deeker both go down. Narwhal being lost here on the side of GamersOrigin. So DPS are dead, but HYP acting as that third DPS kind of utility needs to get some kills here, and that is the hardest part of playing Sombra. Hacking packs is all well and good, invisibility is good, EMP is great, but actually finishing off targets can be quite difficult. Here comes the pulse bomb from Nalar, and it looks like it did make a connection there. Ben Best does go down, but it's going to be GamersOrigin who take the point first, despite this incredibly long extended fight. Sombra did stay alive throughout all of it, so this could be the first time that we actually see it successfully used. EMP actually comes out and helps Leaf secure a kill there on Tijao. That should be enough to hang on to the point for another 15-20%.
You have to be frustrated if you're on the side of ex-ROX right now, right? Because the difficult part about this composition without Sombra is the fact that, you know, everyone's so mobile. Everyone can zip around all around the map, and HYP has control of the larger health packs. That's going to be very important for allowing him to heal up and have a safe base to go. He's going to drop that translocator, and he's going to disappear right behind the lines. Now, the main goal of this is basically to just get information. He doesn't need to do much. He's a low people already. He's going to jump back before he takes too much damage, immediately absorbs the health pack, and now this battle is just going to get more complicated. Yes, the nano boost is available. We're going to jump on with Leaf right now, who has a Death Blossom and will be very important to clear up. Freed just can't do anything right now, unable to hit a hook in the aspect, and now he's going to zip right into the middle. Death Blossom is still up. He's going to opt out of it. He is not super safe in that aspect. Fortunately, will go down. Norwalk will be catching up, but HYP still invisible, able to contest the point relatively well. Should be going down relatively soon though. Not able to sustain now. That's one of the bad things about Sombra. You're not super tanky. You are super squishy. Norwalk being able to sustain the point a little more. 67%, 66%. I mean, you're pretty happy with that if you're on the side of GamersOrigin.
I mean, I guess they're still running Sombra now, though, so it's going to be all on this retake, and EMP can obviously be a huge tool there, but Noki is the solo healer. Like, if they just dump everything onto Lucio, ex-ROX can just eliminate the only source of healing, and I feel like that's a big problem when Sombra can keep herself alive with hack packs and teleporting. The rest of the team can't. You've got Grebs on Surge. Big Bang combo actually does connect enough to get the damage in there. All 3 tanks are down on the side of ex-ROX. This should be an easy reflip here once they manage to deal with Nalar and Deeker. Deeker super low health there. He does fall, and Nalar has been hacked by the just regular hack of HYP, so Tracer falls eventually as well. Claws running in on his own. Not going to last too long against that Reaper, I would hope. Yeah, if Claws goes down as well after using his Earth Shatter to no avail either.
Yeah, and this is where it's going to starting to get a little complicated. We talked about how Sombra could potentially be a big pick here, and I'm not saying HYP might. He's playing it very well to the point where he's staying alive, he's getting these good hacks, he's being able to deny, and actually one of the small benefits that people don't think about is the fact that you can tell when people are below 50% HP, so you're able to track down those low targets, and you don't have to worry about, oh, they could be behind us, or they could be zipping away, and the EMP gets behind the backline, EMP's everything, Suri gets pulled by one of them to be able to capitalize. That Death Blossom actually catches out so many people, and no one's able to use their abilities at all. There's no shield coming up from the Zarya at all, so she's basically just going to be stranded alone, and now the side of GamersOrigin is just zipping in, punishing the fact that they weren't able to use their abilities at all, and Nalar cannot do it by himself, and it looks like overtime is ticking down. Norwalk is just trying to basically do stuff as much as he can. They can't even get on the point. That's game.
Incredible stuff. GamersOrigin, after taking a beating on Volskaya, end up taking it to Lijiang Tower and getting a 3-0 on this ex-ROX squad, and here's Aang as Lucio. I don't even think this was the super boop that I remember seeing. Does get 1 kill there onto Poco. I remember a whole hog actually being booped off the side. So this is actually... What does he do? Does he kill Tracer here at least? Yeah. Okay, well, decent enough. Good to see Lucio play the game in general.
Alright guys, and that means that we will have our first grand finalist. Congratulations for GamersOrigin proceeding to the grand finals match. ex-ROX is not out of the tournament just yet. Yes, they're not able to compete for winning this tournament, but they will be able to compete in a third place match. Hopefully they choose to, to practice in it or play in it. It's always good practice. And plus, when the other side of the bracket is ex-Reunited and Dignitas, I'm willing to stay if it means being able to play them in a best of 3 as well. Speaking of which, that will be our next game on our agenda. That will be the the Dignitas versus ex-Reunited match. I think the marquee matchup on here, and hopefully we'll be able to see that very soon. Let me just switch the cameras.
Yeah.